I think it is also a huge test of freedom of speech on the campuses.
It is. It is. It is. And it's walking a very fine line between the
Very
kinds
fine
of
line, yes.
protests that are allowed in the First Amendment and
Yes.
freedom of speech, and very incendiary language during the protests. So it's very difficult. It's very difficult not to take sides. It's very important not to take sides, but also very challenging.
Yes.
So I think a lot of people are struggling with that all over the country. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Big challenge.
it's a trying time. People are talking
Yes.
about it in terms of how this reminds them about the protests about the anti-Vietnam War in the
Yes.
1970s and so on. And people are talking
Yes.
about similarities and differences across those things. So,
Mm, mm.
in the middle of this, we have a very political, very fraught political season coming up. So
Yes.
we'll see what happens.
We also have our political pot boiling.
Yeah, it's happening everywhere. Yeah. International phenomenon. So how is everybody here?
And
Dhruv,
many
I
people
saw,
think it is safe not to talk about their choices.
yeah,
Hmm.
for sure. So Dhruv, I want to ask you, there was a TISA meeting in your house. It looked like over the weekend.
Yeah, like because I had like come from from Delhi. So yeah, I just like I called him over and also just announced on the Mumbai SSG group whoever wants to come over. So yeah, we I just had a few people over, just had good conversation
Lovely.
and hung out.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Saw the photo there.
A
Yeah,
kitchen
awesome.
cabinet meeting.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad that he let me know that he was here.
Somebody had asked me many years ago, does TISA have a office? Is it in Dehradun? I said, no, TISA doesn't have an office, but every stammerer's home is our office.
Mm.
Yeah.
So wherever they meet, wherever four stammerers gather in TISA's name, there TISA is.
Yeah.
Paraphrasing Bible.
So actually you can like say like Tisa has that that the thousands of offices around the country.
It's like a WeWork
Yes.
situation, right?
Yeah.
You can go anywhere.
Yes.
For work from home.
So
चलिए तो
where
आज
should we
क्या
begin?
प्लान है?
We were thinking of discussing that using self disclosure script. What are the things to keep in mind? What are the things not to do in the name of self disclosure? And if somebody has prepared their script, for example, Sanjay has got his script ready, so maybe he can do a little practice. Uh, so that was the whole idea. But while they are doing it, they should be using the techniques because it gives them a chance to practice it.
Okay.
So shall we start with the so Amit, is it okay or do you have something else on
नहीं नहीं
in your
ठीक है
mind?
एकदम एकदम एक्चुअली मैं भी अपनी हिंदी वाली सेल्फ डिस्क्लोजर स्क्रिप्ट यहाँ पे फील्ड टेस्ट करना चाहता हूँ मैंने हिंदी में प्रैक्टिस उसकी ज्यादा नहीं की क्योंकि यहाँ पे
हाँ,
हिंदी में यूज नहीं करता ज्यादा लेकिन हिंदी में डेफिनेटली प्रैक्टिस करना चाहता हूँ आप लोगों से फीडबैक लेना चाहता हूँ
right, right.
तो I'll do that as well so but let's start with Sanjay. He already has a script. Do you wanna
Yes, yes.
do you wanna begin, Sanjay?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Sir, could I read, sir?
हाँ बिल्कुल.
Sir, before I is, 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 is start my interview, I want to share something. I am a scammer. I am working on it to become a better communicator, and I have a improved a bit, but it is 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 still there because it's part of my I identity. My intention to share this before an interview is that I focus on c- 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 content rather than on my fluency. It helps me to stay authentic and to be who I am. So please evaluate holistically this interview rather than on my fluency.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. What went into your thought process when you wrote this?
Uh,
Uh, let's
Sir,
let's go a little bit behind the
हाँ,
scenes.
सर मुझे लगता है कि ना हमको ना जब ये बताना है ना तो आई कांटेक्ट बहुत जरूरी है, और
Hmm.
मतलब फॉर्मल इंटरव्यू है तो बहुत ज्यादा स्माइल नहीं कर सकते, नॉर्मल स्माइल, क्योंकि सर अगर हम उसमें ईद है ना ये बोलते वक्त एक गिल्ट नहीं है, नर्वसनेस नहीं है, या हम सिंपैथी नहीं मांग रहे, तो
Hmm.
वो देखेगा, उसको वाइब आएगी कि हम कंफर्टेबल हैं अपने स्टैमरिंग के साथ, तो मुझे लगता है वो हमारे अंदर ज्यादा कॉन्फिडेंस रखेगा।
Hmm.
हाँ, मैं यही कहने वाला था संजय कि डॉक्टर साहब का सवाल है, व्हाट वेंट इन योर हेड व्हेन यू वर राइटिंग दीज लाइंस, मतलब आपका ये लाइनें कहने का पर्पस क्या है। तो वो आपने आखिर में बता दिया कि आप क्लियर हो गया, ठीक है, इट्स ओके, फाइन, गो ऑन।
So what I could take away is also from your message, basically a response to my question जो आपने बताया था कि आपको comfort level जो है ज़्यादा महसूस होता है जब हम जब जब initially declare कर देते हैं. Okay. Can you go over your script one more time? Can you read it
एक
one
बार
more
और।
time?
I want to share something. I am is stammer. I am working on it to become a better communicator, and I have improved a bit, but it is still there because it's a part of my uh, 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 identity. My intention to share this before an interview is that I focus on my quality of answer rather than on my fluency, and it helps me to stay authentic, authentic to be who I am. So please evaluate holistically this interview rather than on my fluency.
Okay. तो आप क्या वॉलंटरी स्टैमरिंग कर रहे थे जब अभी बता
Yes,
रहे
sir.
थे
Yes, sir.
ये वो नेचुरल थी?
नहीं सर, ये वो वॉलंटरी स्टैमरिंग।
अच्छा, ठीक है। तो एक दो चीजें मुझको स्टैंड आउट लगी जो कि प्रोमिनेंट लगी। एक तो बोला था आपने कि आई एम वर्किंग ऑन इट टू बिकम अ बेटर कम्युनिकेटर, which is a very different message than saying I'm working on it to become more fluent. तो आपने कम्युनिकेशन पे फोकस किया राइट अवे, तो obviously there is very much part of the TISA message that tolerate the stammer but don't tolerate poor communication. So I think that is a nice little alignment there. Acceptance के लिहाज से आपने identity word यूज किया जो कि बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट कनेक्शन है, और अपने आप, और आपने ये भी बताया कि आपकी क्यों बता रहे हैं, क्या इंटेंशन है आपकी. सो वन ऑफ द थिंग्स दैट इज recommended in self-disclosure script is that it should be informative in ways that are productive to the encounter. जो भी आप बताना चाह रहे हैं, जिस भी सेटिंग में है, उस सेटिंग के लिहाज से उसकी अलाइनमेंट होनी चाहिए. तो प्रेजेंटेशंस की स्क्रिप्ट और होगी, इंटरव्यू की स्क्रिप्ट और होगी, अगर आप रेस्टोरेंट जाके रिटेल में किसी को अनाउंस करेंगे वो स्क्रिप्ट और होगी, तो इट हैज टू बी स्पेसिफिक एंड फिट द पर्टिकुलर एनकाउंटर दैट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट। और डेफिनेटली आपने बताया यू यूज द वर्ड इवैल्यूएट नॉट जज, दैट्स आल्सो वेरी नाइस, क्योंकि जजमेंट मीन समथिंग एल्स, उसका डिफरेंट कॉनोटेशन है, उसका डिफरेंट इम्प्लीकेशन है। एक्सीलेंट। सो आपकी स्क्रिप्ट अंग्रेजी में है या हिंदी में भी है?
सर मैंने
हिंदी
ये
में भी होनी चाहिए।
हाँ सर, मैं हिंदी में स्पॉन्टेनियसली कर सकता हूँ सर।
ओके, तो स्पॉन्टेनियसली हिंदी में करके बताइए फिर,
सर आप
अगर
मेरा
बता सकते हैं तो।
हाँ हाँ सर मैं कोशिश कर रहा हूँ।
हम्म,
सर आप मेरा ए ए इंटरव्यू स्टार्ट करें उससे पहले मैं आपके साथ कुछ बताना चाहता हूँ कि मुझे सर थकलाहट की प्रॉब्लम है और मैं इस पे काम कर रहा हूँ और काफ़ी हद तक मैं पहले से काफ़ी इसको मैनेज कर पाता हूँ और अपनी बात स्टैमरिंग के साथ अच्छे से रख पाता हूँ। तो मैं और सर मेरा बताने का रीज़न ये है कि मैं जब ये बता देता हूँ तो मैं अपनी फ्लुएंसी पे ना ज़्यादा सोच के जो मैं बोल रहा होता हूँ उस पे मेरा ध्यान ज़्यादा होता है। और मैं सर आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करूँगा कि आप इस इंटरव्यू को ना हॉलिस्टिकली मतलब पूरी तरह इसको इवोल्यूट करें, ना कि केवल मेरे फ्लुएंसी पे इसको इवोल्यूट करें।
ओके, एक्सीलेंट। एक बार और बताइए, से इट वन मोर टाइम प्रैक्टिस के लिए, और मैं आपको आई एम गोइंग टू टाइम यू, सी हाउ लॉन्ग इट्स टेकिंग, and just for information, that's all, right? So let's एक बार और हिंदी में बताइए।
सर स्टार्ट करें।
श्योर, एकदम।
सर आप मेरा ए ए इंटरव्यू स्टार्ट करें उससे पहले मैं आपके साथ कुछ शेयर करना चाहूँगा कि सर मुझे हकलाहट की समस्या है और मैं इस पे काम कर रहा हूँ और पहले से ज़्यादा बेहतर तरीके से मैं अपनी स्टैमरिंग को मैनेज कर पाता हूँ। लेकिन ये मेरी आइडेंटिटी का पार्ट है और मेरा बताने का सर इंटेंशन ये है कि जब मैं बता देता हूँ तो मैं अपनी हकलाहट को छुपाने के बारे में या फ्लुएंसी पे ना ध्यान देते हुए अपने कंटेंट पे या जो मैं आंसर दे रहा हूँ उस पे ध्यान मेरा ज़्यादा रहता है। और मैं सर आपसे भी रिक्वेस्ट करूँगा कि आप इस ए ए इंटरव्यू को होलिस्टिकली इवोल्यूट करें, केवल मेरे फ्लुएंसी पर इसको इवोल्यूट ना करें।
Okay, exactly 60 seconds. Good, awesome,
हाँ सर
great. At least you know how much time it's taking now. हाँ।
इसमें सर ये जो इवोल्यूट था ना उसमें सर मेरी स्टैमरिंग थी, वहाँ वॉलंटरी नहीं थी इस बार।
Okay. So, the only word I would want you to think a little bit about, आपकी स्क्रिप्ट है, जो आपको ठीक लगे वही बताइए, लेकिन मैं आपको थोड़ा सा फीडबैक देना चाहता हूँ एक वर्ड के ऊपर। आपने बोला आपने स्टैबिंग की प्रॉब्लम है, तो या स्टैबिंग की समस्या है, ये कह सकते हैं डेफिनेटली वी सी इट इज अ प्रॉब्लम अ लॉट ऑफ अस, बट वी कैन ऑल्सो से मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ कि मैं हकलाता हूँ, बस।
सर ये बोलते तो मुझे भी रियलाइज हो गया था, ये थोड़ा सा नेगेटिव था।
नहीं नहीं, ऐसी बात
ये
नहीं है, आपकी स्क्रिप्ट है, जो आपको कंफर्टेबल लगता है उसको वो वर्ड यूज कीजिए। मैं बस आपको फीडबैक दे रहा हूं कि उसके उसके भी ऑल्टरनेटिव हो सकते हैं। You can call it out as a problem that you're working on. You can call it out as a condition that you have. See, a problem is not your identity. That's the confusion, कि अगर आप बता रहे हैं कि आपका स्टैमरिंग का प्रॉब्लम है और जो ये आपकी आइडेंटिटी का हिस्सा है, then the problem is not the identity. You see what I'm saying? That's the confusion here. You're a person who stammers. That is part of your identity. Stammering is the problem, doesn't quite gel with stammering is part of my identity. लेकिन that's the only thing I'm drawing attention to. लेकिन आपको जो ठीक लगता है, जो comfortable लगता है, इससे खेलिए, एक और script से खेलिए, play around with it, but this is a very good start. Excellent. Thank you. Who wants to go next? Anybody else with a script or wants to try one out? Dhruv, you want to go?
Sure.
Okay.
I have a script already in English. I like need to kind of like make my Hindi script. I was just working on it, but it's not done. So yeah, I can like share my script in English.
Sure.
And like it's for a speech. It's like what I like use when I'm giving a speech or whatever, a session, presentation or something. Okay, so before I begin, please know that I stammer. So you may hear me repeat sounds like that, or get stuck while speaking like that. Don't worry, I'm completely fine. Just please be patient. And then I begin.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's also great. Yeah. Don't worry, I'm completely fine. I'm not having.
Because like some people are like, get nervous, like, is he okay? Is he having a seizure?
Yeah.
So
No, that's great. That's great.
ये तो काफी short और sweet था.
Yeah, short and sweet is good also. एक बार, let's try one more time with Dhruv. Like Sanjay, I'll time you also. We should know how long it's taking. Of course, it can take longer if you stammer, but that's okay. We'll say, that's part of the playing field. Okay. So whenever you're ready.
Okay. Before I begin, please know that I stammer. So you may hear me repeat sounds like that and get stuck while speaking like that. Don't worry, I'm completely fine. Just please be patient.
Okay. Yeah, good. Short and sweet. Complete. That was 18 seconds.
Along with, okay, 18 seconds. Okay.
18 seconds.
That's not,
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Do you want to try it in Hindi as well or later?
Maybe yeah. Give me a bit more time to kind of just make it more concise in Hindi. I've got
Sure. Whenever.
I'll get some inspiration as well from all of you guys too. So.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say to Sanjay, you can also develop 2 or 3 versions of your script of less and less lines. I mean, you can have one version which has got only 3 lines, and then you can decide that what is the most important 3 lines I would like to say. Because sometimes if there are too many interviews, and the interviewer, if he's already under pressure, when you're looking at him, at his eyes, you might get the idea that this man is in great hurry. So I better say as little as possible. So have 2 or 3 versions. If you have to say only 2 lines, then what these 2 lines will be. If you can say only 3 lines, then what these 3 lines will be. So try to compress and have 3, 4 versions. And then decide on the moment that if this guy is looking interested, then maybe I can tell a little bit more. Otherwise, these are the 2 standard lines which I'm going to say. Because it takes 1 minute. And sometimes the entire interview consists of only 3 minutes when there are many candidates.
हाँ, मैं सर यही सोच रहा था, तो
Okay,
मुझे
back to Dhruv. Yes.
ध्रुव जी का काफी अच्छा लगा, शॉर्ट एंड स्वीट, जहाँ कम टाइम हो वहाँ वो यूज कर सकते हैं.
हाँ,
मैंने
yes,
वो
yes.
सर शॉर्ट एंड स्वीट
Short and sweet, to the point. Yes.
sir.
हाँ, बिल्कुल. Yes. Yes, Dhruv.
Yeah, no, I think I'm done with with my script in English. So yeah, we can hear from others as well. I'll like work on my Hindi script as well.
Okay. ठीक है. तो अगला कौन ready है? Yes, Sanjay, the other Sanjay Kushwa.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Good, good, good evening. So, like, अभी इसी लास्ट मंथ एंड इस मंथ मैंने आई थिंक 2 या 3 इंटरव्यूज दिए हैं. सो उसमें मेरा ये था लाइक इस तरह स्क्रिप्ट थी मेरी. So before starting my intro, I want to say one thing, like I have stutter. So stutter is a fluency disorder in which sometimes I stuck and sometimes I repeat word. So for forward moving my speech, I will use some speech technique like bouncing, verbal bouncing, and pausing. So thank you, sir. Then I will go with my intro.
Okay, okay, that's another one. Excellent. तो इसमें slightly different ये था कि you're preparing the listener, कि आप expectation set कर रहे हैं अपने लिए और listener के लिए कि अगर आपको थोड़ा सा टेक्निक भी यूज करना है, अपनी स्पीच को थोड़ा सा differently मूव करना है, तो आप basically you're letting people know the expectation is very, very clear. So
Yes.
that primes you to use any pull out or cancellation of bouncing or जो भी है voluntary stammering या जो भी है. Okay.
हाँ, यस सर. एंड इसके बाद लाइक नेक्स्ट जो इंटरव्यू होता है तो उसमें मैं इजीली बाउंसिंग यूज कर पाता हूँ, लाइक थोड़ा मुझे कंफर्टेबल होता है यूज करने.
या ये टेक्निक जो है, जो भी नॉवल बिहेवियर अपने स्पीच में दिखाना है, ये ज्यादा आसान होगा अगर आप बता देंगे लोगों कि मैं यूज करने वाला हूँ. क्योंकि जो हिचकिचाहट है, जो हेजिटेशन है कि बाउंसिंग कर रहा हूं मैं, प्रोलॉन्गेशन कर रहा हूं, ये कैसे करते हैं, all of this stuff like self disclosure, when you're announcing that you stammer, in the same way if you announce that you're using the technique, it's just you know, in a way you're giving your body the permission, the sanction to move your speech in a different kind of a way. So that's also very helpful. Excellent. Who wants to go next? एक सेकेंड, एक्चुअली बैक टू संजय कुशवाहा. आपने तो ये तो अंग्रेजी में बताया, आपने हिंदी में भी है स्क्रिप्ट आपकी?
नहीं, लाइक मोस्टली लाइक ऑल इंटरव्यूज में लाइक मैं इंग्लिश में ही इस रहता है मेरा, लाइक इंग्लिश में ही इंटरव्यू मोस्टली इंग्लिश में ही होते हैं, हिंदी में नहीं होते.
ओके. तो अगर इंटरव्यू के बाद आपकी जॉब लग गई, कोई प्रेजेंटेशन भी करनी है, तो नेक्स्ट टाइम come up with the self-disclosure script for the presentation also. We'll see what that looks like as well.
यस सर, इसका भी है मेरे पास, लाइक जैसे ऑफिस में का काफी टाइम मुझे केटी वगैरह देनी होती है, तो उसमें हिंदी में मेरा सेल्फ डिस्क्लोज हिंदी में होता है. वो मैं इस तरह करता हूँ कि मुझे स्टटर है समटाइम. सो समटाइम मैं लाइक ब्लॉक्स में जा सकता हूँ और वर्ड रिपीट कर सकता हूँ, और उसके लिए मैं स्पीच टेक्निक यूज करूंगा एंड सोलो स्पीकिंग यूज करूंगा. देन मैं उसके बाद जो मेरा केटी या पीपीटी होता है वो पास करता हूँ.
चलिए, बहुत अच्छे. एक्सलेंट, एक्सलेंट, एक्सलेंट. Thank you. Who wants to go next? Rajat या विकास? Looks like Rajat is almost has his hand up. आपने अगर शुरू करना है तो why don't you go ahead, Rajat?
या तो आप सभी को नमस्कार. तो सर आई थिंक मैंने 10 स्क्रिप्ट तैयार की हैं, बट आई थिंक अभी तक इंटरव्यू वाला हो चुका है, प्रेजेंटेशन वाला हो चुका है. तो ये 2 मेजर और 2 और कुछ हो चुके हैं. तो मैंने अलग अलग सिचुएशन के लिए तैयार की थी. तो मैं इन इनके रिलेटेड ही सुनाऊं या फिर इनसे हटकर कुछ सर?
Maybe एक रिलेटेड बता दीजिए, एक हटकर बता दीजिए.
ओके सर.
इतनी स्क्रिप्ट है आपके पास, तो एक तो एक इस कैटेगरी में बता दीजिए, एक किसी और कैटेगरी में बता दीजिए।
ओके सर। तो सबसे पहले मैं जो इंटरव्यू एंड प्रेजेंटेशन से हटकर एक बस की एक्टिविटी के बारे में ले लेता हूँ। तो मैं सफर के लिए जा रहा हूँ कहीं, और हेलो भैया, मुझे गो 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 गौशाला जाना है। माफ कीजिएगा, मैंने ऐसा इसलिए बोला क्योंकि मैं अकेलाता हूँ। तो यही था सर वो पूरा सेंटेंस। मतलब मैंने उसको बोला, बट मैंने उसको एक लाइन में जस्टिफाई किया कि मैंने ऐसा क्यों बोल दिया, तो जिससे
ठीक है।
उसको भी एहसास ना हो और बाकी के लोगों को भी। और सर इंटरव्यू के बारे में मैं और प्रेजेंटेशन, आप इसको किसी से भी रिलेट कर लेना है। तो मैं प्रेजेंटेशन से बोल देता हूँ। तो हिंदी में है सर। हेलो एवरीवन, आज मैं आपके सामने जो प्रेजेंटेशन प्रस्तुत करने जा रहा हूँ, इससे पहले मैं आपके सामने कुछ जरूरी इंफॉर्मेशन शेयर करना चाहता हूँ मेरे बारे में। मेरा नाम रजत है और मैं हकलाता हूँ। तो आपको ऐसा लग सकता है कि कुछ शब्दों के बीच में मैं अटक रहा हूँ, या कुछ शब्दों को आपको सुनने में परेशानी हो रही है। बट आप यदि थोड़ा धैर्य से सुने, और जो मैं प्रेजेंटेशन दूंगा और जो मेरा कंटेंट होगा या जो मेरी काबिलियत होगी, आप प्लीज उसके बेसिस पर मुझको जज करें, जिससे मुझे काफी हेल्प होगी कि मुझे मेरी काबिलियत, मेरी प्रेजेंटेशन के आधार पर मेरा मूल्यांकन किया गया है। सो मैं ऐसी आप सभी भाइयों और बहनों से रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ। तो ये प्रेजेंटेशन के बिहाफ पे थी सर।
ठीक है, ठीक है, वेरी गुड, एक्सलेंट। पहली वाली स्क्रिप्ट जो छोटी वाली थी, एक बार आप बताइए, मैं आपको टाइम करके बताता हूँ कि इतना टाइम लग रहा है इसमें।
ओके सर, फिर स्टार्ट।
हम्म।
हेलो भाई साहब, मुझे गु 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 गौशाला गौशाला जाना है। माफ कीजिएगा, मैंने ऐसे इसलिए बोला क्योंकि मैं हकलाता हूँ। हो गया
ओके,
सर।
ओके, एक्सलेंट। 10 seconds, बस, शॉर्ट स्वीट, 10 seconds। ओके, एक एक मैं आपको थोड़ा सा फीडबैक देना चाहता हूं कि आपने जो सेंटेंस बोला अभी, माफ कीजिए मैं हकलाता हूं, जो आपको सही लगे, जो आपको सही फिट रहे वही कीजिए। लेकिन ये भी कह सकते हैं आप कि आप यू कैन स्किप द माफ कीजिए इफ यू वांट टू। यू कैन जस्ट से कि आप, जैसे कि आप देख रहे हैं कि मैं हकलाता हूं, राइट? उसका जो कंटेंट है वो सेम है, लेकिन आप सॉरी नहीं है। देर इज नथिंग टू बी सॉरी अबाउट, बिकॉज जब आपने आपको एक्सेप्ट कर लिया, अपनी अपने लिए वकालत करनी है, तो सॉरी नहीं करना। वी डोंट नीड टू बी सॉरी। ये हम जानते हैं कि हम ज्यादा टाइम लगाते हैं, लोगों को ज्यादा पेशेंट हो गया, दैट्स ऑल पार्ट ऑफ हु वी आर, you know, that's just who we are. So that's the only word I would say, just think about that। अगर आपको ठीक लगे, फिर भी ठीक लगे, आपकी स्क्रिप्ट है, जो भी आपको ठीक लगे वो कीजिए, but think about that one a little bit। और जो
श्योर।
लंबी वाली थी प्रेजेंटेशन के लिए बात जो आप बताने जा रहे थे, तो उसको एक बार और रिपीट की एजे, मैं उसको टाइम करके बताऊंगा।
या फिर स्टार्ट।
श्योर।
हेलो एवरीवन, आज मैं आपके सामने जो प्रेजेंटेशन प्रस्तुत करने जा रहा हूँ, उससे पहले मैं आपके सामने कुछ जरूरी इंफॉर्मेशन शेयर करना चाहता हूँ। मैं हकलाता हूँ, और इसकी वजह से आपको कुछ शब्दों पर रिपीटेशन या सुनने में आपको असुविधा हो सकती है। इसके लिए प्लीज धैर्य के साथ मेरी कंटेंट को सुने, मेरे प्रेजेंटेशन को। आप मुझे मेरे कंटेंट, मेरी काबिलियत के आधार पर जज करें, तो मुझे ज़्यादा खुशी होगी। और इससे जो मेरा मूल्यांकन होगा, वो मेरी काबिलियत के आधार पर होगा, जिससे मुझे सेटिस्फेक्शन होगा।
Okay. Yeah, that was 40 seconds. Short enough. Obviously, presentation में लंबा हो सकता है, इंटरव्यू में शायद थोड़ा सा छोटा होना चाहिए, क्योंकि इंटरव्यू बाय डेफिनेशन कॉन्वर्सेशन है, presentation is not really a conversation, right? तो इंटरव्यू एक कॉन्वर्सेशन है जिसमें नॉर्मली हमें कम टाइम मिलता है, इसलिए yeah, it's more compressed for the interview situation, longer for the presentation. Excellent. ठीक है. Vikas, you want to go last?
Yeah, thank you. So, for like, in casual setting, I would like to try this, that I will be speaking at 0.5x speed because I saw stammer.
Okay, 0.5x, that's very specific. That's good. You also have a little lightness, a little humor in there, so that's good. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a small story behind that. I shared that with uh Dhruv. I'll just quickly wrap that story in next 2 minutes by not taking much time. So I was in this hostel Mumbai last week. So there's some folks came for stand-up comedy, and they were doing crowd work. Then they were asking from anyone, hey, you are from which place? Tell your name. What do you do? So when I was sharing that, then they were saying, why are you speaking at 0.5x? That then I have shared with them, hey, you are spot on, you have caught me, and I stammer. And then once they have done their work, then I went to stage. Then I have shared with them, hey, now I will be doing stand up with you at 0.5x. And that then I shared some jokes on stammering mainly. Then I thought maybe I can use that, as everyone is like, moreover loving it.
Nice. Nice. Very nice.
So maybe I would. Hanji sir. Yeah. Hanji sir.
I wanted to offer Vikas one more funny funny lines. I mean, if you're talking to a group of programmer, Vikas, you can try this one. I use a lot of if and while loops when I talk. Please have patience. Or you can also say, I mean, in the interview, you can try. I mean, if you are really feeling funny, you can say, I sometimes stammer. And fortunately for you, it's not infectious.
That's a good one too. Yeah.
Yeah. These are really nice to try something new based on audiences. And then I was thinking to do it more often in casual setting, maybe to make formal settings a bit casual as well, as it's needed a lot much these days. And so that's the one. And maybe the second thing that I was thinking, just to share plainly, and where if I just feel like to share, hey, I stammer, so I will be speaking bit slow sometimes, or I'll take like, bit pause as well, and that's it. And then just like start from that.
Yeah. whatever makes you feel more empowered,
Yeah.
right? So अगर आप ये बता रहे हैं कि मैं थोड़ा सा धीरे बोलूंगा, तो
Yeah.
that's useful for you. Yeah, excellent. और इंग्लिश में ही है या हिंदी में भी है कोई स्क्रिप्ट?
Hindi maybe like I think same ही, but हिंदी ट्रांसलेशन के साथ ही कि किसी को हिंदी में बोलना है तो ऐसा है कि मैं हाकलाता हूँ, और कभी कभी मैं थोड़ा धीरे धीरे बोलूँगा। आ- आपको बहुत बार वैसा भी लगेगा कि ये जैसे बोल बोल रहा है वैसे लग नहीं रहा कि नॉर्थ इंडिया से है। लेकिन लेकिन मैं नॉर्थ इंडिया से हूँ। एज एज मेरे को ना बहुत बहुत सारे लोगों ने ऐसा फीडबैक दिया है कि लाइक व्हेन आई टॉक दे आर लाइक कि आर यू श्योर यू आर फ्रॉम नॉर्थ India? I'm like, yeah, I am sure. Then they are like, yeah, though you are from South, and yeah, though you are like you have lived in outside somewhere, because your Hindi is more like ये north से तो नहीं है।
विकास, if somebody ever doubts this and
हाँ
ask like this ना, तो तुम ये कह सकते हो
हाँ।
कि हाँ हाँ मैं यहाँ नहीं रहता हूँ, मैं 8 साल हगला प्लेनेट पे रहा था। I've just come back to India. I've just come back to India from Stammering land.
Nice. Okay. Awesome. Excellent. Thank you guys so much. I can, do you want me to field as my script in Hindi? Okay.
We
Okay.
demand it. We demand it.
Demand it. So I'll just read out my English one first, just because to give you the contrast, similar or different. So basically, I say, before I start, I want you to know that I'm a person who utters. That means I may take longer to get my words out. I may repeat some sounds. I may hold on to some sounds like this. What will help us is if you keep some eye contact and give me a little bit more time, so I can move through my stammers with some ease. I just ask for a little bit of your patience. Thank you. Short and simple also. अब हिंदी वाली जो है, मैंने जो फील्ड टेस्ट करना चाहता हूँ, गो समथिंग लाइक दिस। मैं आपको शुरू में बताना चाहता हूँ कि मैं हकलाता हूँ, और हकलाना एक न्यूरोलॉजिकल कंडीशन है, जिसमें मैं आपको लगेगा कि मैं रुक रुक के बोल रहा हूँ ऐसे। आई थिंक हम दोनों को थोड़ी सुविधा होगी कि अगर आप मुझे थोड़ा और टाइम दीजिए और आई कांटेक्ट कीजिए, ताकि मैं अपनी वर्ड्स आसानी से निकाल सकूं। थैंक यू। बस
Good.
Straightforward. Normally, what is recommended, I want to talk a little bit about research and self-disclosure a little bit. Key research क्या बताती है? Self-disclosure एक ऐसी चीज है, एक ऐसी डिवाइस है, एक ऐसी एक्सरसाइज है, जो भी आप उसे बुला लें, कि रेकमेंड की जाती है काफ़ी कम्युनिटीज़ के लिए, जो भी लोग मार्जिनलाइज कम्युनिटी में होते हैं, और जो मार्जिनलाइज कम्युनिटी में होते हैं, लाइक पीपल हु आर LGBTQ फॉर एग्जांपल, वो भी मार्जिनलाइज कम्युनिटी है। एंड रिसर्च इंडिकेट्स दैट जब वो लोग डिक्लेयर करते हैं, सेल्फ डिस्क्लोज करते हैं हम लोगों के जैसे, तो listeners will often give more positive evaluations. This is seen pretty much across the board. There are positive correlations between self-disclosure. Research indicates this. There are positive correlations between self-disclosure and quality of life. There's also a big connection in research between people who are in self-help groups, जो जैसे कि TISA है, National Stammering Association है, जो भी है, and the ability to do self-disclosure. So there's a very strong connection between joining community and self-disclosing. And listeners almost always form more positive impressions of people who do self-disclose. And there is research from other marginalized groups, जैसे मैंने बताया, that it reduces the threat that the minority groups will experience. So there's a lot of research to indicate, both from research in other marginalized communities and also some research in self-disclosure that is relatively more recent in the Stammering canon. So it's a useful exercise. Research indicates that people who do self-disclose feel more confident, listeners feel more at ease, and it reduces the discrimination. So it's very powerful sort of a technique device. There are 4 aspects in a self-disclosure script, some combination of 4 aspects which are quite helpful. एक तो ये है कि we're giving information, so it needs to be informative. हम एक नई जानकारी किसी को दे रहे हैं, जो communication encounter जो हो रहा है, communication exchange जो हो रहा है, उसमें उसमें alignment है. इसीलिए हम बोल रहे हैं कि प्रेजेंटेशन की स्क्रिप्ट जो है, जो कॉन्वर्सेशन बेस्ड नहीं है, वो थोड़ी लंबी हो सकती है, क्योंकि यू हैव अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम, यू हैव अ लॉट मोर टाइम. इंटरव्यू में keep it short and sweet. If you need to take more time, but try to keep it shorter in one versus the other, which is why self-disclosure is also called advertising. और advertising की quality यही है कि वहां पे जो भी script होगी advertisement में, there is a very polished script. It is a very rehearsed script. It's a very polished script. There's a lot of practice that goes into it. And it's also customized to the market. Taking the same page into stammering self-disclosure, we need to have different scripts in different environments. So that's one thing. It has to be relevant to the encounter. Short for a short encounter, longer for a longer encounter. Secondly, it also should enable, if you want to have that component in there, it should also enable us to ask for what you want from the listener. So listener का क्या responses helpful हैं, क्या responses helpful नहीं हैं. इसीलिए मेरी self disclosure script में मैं 2 चीजें हमेशा मांगता हूँ. एक तो time, ज़्यादा time, a little bit more time, and eye contact. In the process of doing this, क्या हो रहा है कि मैं educate भी कर रहा हूँ listener को कि जो व्यक्ति हकलाते हैं उनके साथ कैसा communicative behavior सही है. Time pressure resist करना हमारे लिए बहुत important है, right? तो time pressure resist करने के लिए आपको क्या चाहिए? मुझको personally time contact चाहिए और ज़्यादा time चाहिए. You might need something else. जो भी आपको time pressure resist करने के लिए help कर सके, this is an opportunity to ask for that. And the opportunity is much clearer in a presentation than it is in an interview because it's a shorter script, right? So that's the second point. Third point ये है कि ideally it should suggest collaborative intent. कि what I'm saying, I'm not making all the adjustments. In fact, when I'm asking you to give me more time, if I'm asking you, that itself is implying collaborative intent. We are in a shared communication space. That is why जैसे मैं अंग्रेजी में जब मैं script बोलता हूँ तो I start with what will help us. I don't say what will help me or what will help you. I say what will help us. क्योंकि मैं recognize कर रहा हूँ कि हम shared communication space में हैं, in which the communicative responsibility is not falling entirely on me. It is also falling on you. So that's the third part. जैसे कि मैंने हिंदी में ट्रांसलेट किया, मैंने अपनी इंग्लिश की स्क्रिप्ट को हिंदी में ट्रांस किया, मैंने वो बोला कि हमको थोड़ी ज्यादा सुविधा होगी. I didn't say मुझको ये सुविधा होगी. You can say that, लेकिन the moment you move into the we language, हम versus मैं, you are suggesting कि हम collaborate कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे. इस communication exchange में collaborate कर रहे हैं. The entire responsibility of this communication exchange doesn't fall only on me, it falls on us because that's the dynamic in a conversation. और चौथी बात यह है कि it should not be apologetic. इसलिए sorry बोलना, माफी मांगना is not something that we need to do. Right? People from other marginalized communities are not going to say, I'm sorry, I'm gay, right? It's like, there's nothing to be sorry about. You just built in a different way. We are built in a different way. We are wired in a different way. So some combination of these four things, whatever you feel comfortable with, is worth experimenting with. That's the point. तो दूसरे environment में दूसरी script होगी, जैसे कि विकास ने, he wants to interject some humor in it, some lightness in it. Lightness, humor is always typically a good idea because it puts the listener at ease. जो भी चीज अपने listener को थोड़ा सा ease में रह सके, it's going to generate a positive vibe in the communication for both of us. So that's helpful. In the past, I've said, I'm going to use some techniques because if I don't use techniques, we'll be here for the next half an hour, which we don't want to be. That's also humor, right? It may take me a lot more time to get something out unless I use some pull-outs or some slow rate or some pausing or whatever it is. So interjecting humor is also a nice thing to do. So any of these can be helpful. Okay. Where should we go next?
I think next question could be, how do we handle if the other party comes back with some question or with some rejoinder? So in your experience, what kind of response does it draw? May not be all the time, but once in a while, what kind of things people say when they hear a self-admission script?
Yeah, so it depends on what is in the self-admission script and what the encounter is. It's much easier for a social conversation, a casual conversation to open up like this, right? So obviously, if you're in an interview, you're there for something else. So you take any question that you're answering about your own speech is taking time from what else, what other business needs to be conducted. But in a social encounter, it's much easier. So one more way is to open the door for an invitation, which is to say, अगर आपको कोई सवाल है अकलाने के बारे में, तो आप मुझसे पूछ सकते हैं. That could also be part of the script. ये formal presentation में कर सकते हैं, interview में कर सकते हैं, whatever you feel comfortable with, but it's more natural to occur in a social exchange, where people have a lot of time to go back and forth and ask you questions and so on and so forth. My impression is that they are generally thankful for the fact that, I'm glad you shared this with me because I often don't know how to talk to somebody who's stammers. So then we get into what is a helpful response, what is not a helpful sort of a response. So I say that, if you break eye contact, that's usually not a very helpful response because we have a tendency to break eye contact when we stammer. So if you keep the eye contact, I'm more likely to keep eye contact with you as well. People also ask about like have you always does it show up all the time? Because when I see you talk very often, I don't see any stammering. So then I talk about the fact that it's very variable. It's the nature of stammering. Stammering की essential quality यही है कि vary करती है. environmentally cued behavior है. एक situation में एक type की presentation होगी, एक situation में एक और type की presentation होगी. So I use it as an occasion to also educate that it's a neurological condition where the behavior is environmentally cued. That's why it's variable. That's why it's cyclical also. We can have days which are fluent and days which are less fluent. So that's also there. But those have been usually some of the questions. But people relax. People almost invariably relax. Or they sometimes say, no, you don't stammer. I see you don't stammer at all. It's like, no, I do. I'm not stammering right now, but I do stammer. A person stammers. That happens as well.
Because sometimes this happens that that we go with a prepared script, we deliver it, and we are not expecting any counter from the other party. We are thinking that I'll give my script and then the interview will start. But suddenly the other person asks some question. Isn't it same as stage fright? and then we get, and then we go round and round because we are not we are not very clear ourselves. So we say, well, it is a kind of stage fright, but it's not exactly stage fright. I sometimes used to sing on stage also, but stammering is something different. And then we find that we are floundering towards the deep end. So what I'm trying to say, that when we are going to use a script, especially, I mean, our participants, have a little basic knowledge of stammering. If in case that the other person start asking question, okay, so you stammer, is it hereditary? And if you do not know the right answer, or if you are confused, then it might create some kind of undesirable impression on the other person, that he doesn't know basic about these conditions. So that's all I wanted to share. Because sometimes this happens, because somebody said that fools can ask more than a wise man can ever answer.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? So I think it's extremely valid to think that there could be questions and one should be prepared for the questions. You can invite questions if you want. Usually क्या होता है कि, like I said, it happens in a much more social encounter. In an interview situation, of course, if it's a longish interview, people can ask you more questions about it, and the more forthcoming we are, usually the more comfort it gives to the other person. Because if you're opening the door to disclosure, if you're opening that door, then we should be prepared to take more questions as well. And your point is very valid. I mean, that's why I lead with the fact that, stammering is neurological. It's a neurological condition. That is a very important thing. I think it's important to say, because that folds in a lot of things, right? It's also biologically based behavior. It's an involuntary behavior. I have control over it to a certain extent, but not all the time, not in every situation. It folds in a lot of these concepts. The moment I say something is something is neurological, something is part of the body, that also allows me to answer the question that you are asking about. Is it stage fright? So yeah, it can get worse. It can get more severe when I'm nervous. But stammering itself is not happening because of nervousness. It's happening because of different neurological wiring. So that's a short, simple answer. That also validates the fact that, yes, there is a connection between stammering and anxiety, but the relation is more situational than it is in terms of the etiology, in terms of the causation. The causation is neurological, but the presentation jo hai, that can be based on, level of nervousness, level of anxiety, all of those kind of things. You're on mute, Dr. Srivastava.
So now we can have some questions from participants if anybody has got any question regarding self-disclosure, using the script. Using a script is very important. I want to emphasize this thing, that very often we think that I will just I will just play it by the ear. I'll say whatever comes to my mind at the time of interview. What is the need to prepare for it? But I think preparing with a script is very important.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it is absolutely necessary to have
Mm.
something that is well rehearsed, well
Yes.
practiced, that we can feel comfortable about. क्योंकि
Yeah.
अगर हम comfort नहीं है, then it sort of defeats a bit of the purpose of self-disclosure. That's why I'm saying sorry also defeats the purpose. But whatever the person feels comfortable with is fine also.
And I think we should also have 2 or 3 versions, longer
Mhm.
versions, slightly shorter version, maybe one word, one line, and practice with them. I think
Mhm.
practice ultimately is the most important thing.
Mhm.
So, any questions from anybody? Rajat, Sanjay, any questions on this theme before we wind up?
And if you don't, I have something I want to play with you on shared screen, if that's okay with you. We can end there
Yeah,
as
go
well.
on.
If nobody has any questions. So this is from if you can turn the recording off for this one, Dr. Srivastav, I think it's good. I'm showing people my course. I want to
Yeah,
just be sure it's
yeah,
not.
sure. So let me
Yes.
make it pause just a minute.
अजत, आप कुछ पूछना चाहते हैं?
सर मैं एक लाइन में ये बोलना चाहूंगा कि आपने जो ये टास्क दिया, हमने इसको कंप्लीट किया, तो इससे एक चीज जो समझ में आई कि स्क्रिप्टेड प्रैक्टिस से हम मेजर इश्यूज को सॉल्व कर सकते हैं। जब हम स्क्रिप्टेड नहीं होती है तो हम वहां पे जाके सोचते हैं, तो मतलब वो दिक्कत देती है। जब हम पहले से ही करके जा रहे हैं तो एक बेनिफिट तो यही हो गया। तो ओवरऑल ये काफी काफी अच्छा है कि हम जितनी सिचुएशन हो सके उनमें पहले ही प्रिपेयर होके जाएं, नहीं तो वैसे तो आने वाली काफी प्रॉब्लम आ ही जाती है।
आपने पिछले हफ्ते जब हमारा टीओपीजी मीटिंग हुई थी तो आपने बताया था कि अवेयरनेस बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है, राइट? तो ये अवेयरनेस भी हिस्सा है। ये एक टाइप की अवेयरनेस है ये, कि मैं जा रहा हूँ, कि मेरी प्रेजेंटेशन होगी, मैं कैसे अपने आप को प्रेजेंट करूंगा, right? The presentation is not just about the content, we're also presenting ourselves. So how do you want to show up? How do you want to present yourself? How do you want to show up? The presentation is much bigger than the particular content जो आप communicate कर रहे हैं, आपका message जो आप communicate कर रहे हैं. How do you want to present yourself? आपकी बात एकदम जायज है कि जितनी प्रैक्टिस करेंगे, जितना हम एक्सपेरिमेंट करेंगे डिफरेंट एनवायरनमेंट्स में, डिफरेंट स्क्रिप्ट्स के साथ, ह्यूमर के साथ, विदाउट ह्यूमर, बिफोर एंड जज द लिसनर रिएक्शन ऑन योर ओन। ये जो मैंने स्क्रिप्ट जो बनाई है अपने लिए, दिस इज नॉट अ मोमेंट, दिस इज नॉट अ वन टाइम थिंग, दिस इज इवॉल्व्ड ओवर टाइम। I have adjusted it to different environments and different people. I've adjusted it in length. मैं छोटा बनाया, लंबा बनाया, एक environment के लिए ऐसे बनाया, एक environment के ऐसे बनाया, उसके बाद मैंने ट्राई किया। ट्राई करना, प्रैक्टिस करना, जैसे कि हम स्पीच मोटर टेक्निक्स को प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, पुल आउट करते हैं, बाउंसिंग करते हैं, कैंसलेशन करते हैं, उसी टाइप की प्रैक्टिस है ये सेल्फ डिस्क्लोजर के साथ भी। तो जब हम किसी के साथ, when I'm in therapy with somebody, very often I will say like, okay, I want you to self-disclose to 2 new people next week. How many people are you going to meet? Do you have any events in which you're going to meet strangers next week? I feel comfortable doing it here, but not over there. Fine, do it over there. And let's chat about it next time. I would even say कि जो वीडियो सेल्फ मॉनिटरिंग जो हमने इस टीओपीजे में हम बात कर रहे हैं, अपने आप को वीडियो रिकॉर्ड करना और प्लेबैक करना नेक्स्ट एनकाउंटर के पहले, यू कैन डू द सेम थिंग विद द सेल्फ डिस्क्लोजर। अपने आप को वीडियो रिकॉर्ड कीजिए सेल्फ डिस्क्लोज करते हुए, इस सिचुएशन में इस लिहाज से, फिर दूसरे सिचुएशन में दूसरे लिहाज से। डू डिफरेंट रिकॉर्डिंग्स ऑफ योरसेल्फ so you can watch yourself and see what you look like. And over time, you will see the more recordings you make, the more confident you're going to feel, because you're going to get more shorter, quicker. A lot of these things will come naturally. The smile, the eye contact, the more you do it, the more, just like any technique that you're practicing, the easier it's going to get. But practice is key. Absolutely essential. You can't just wing this thing. You just can't just show up and say, I'm going to try it, or you can show up and say, try it, but have some notes, right? If you just do this at the beginning, it's an awkward thing to do. This is something that we don't usually do, right? We try to hide it. That's the point. So we're doing something that is very out of character, out of nature, out of the body. So obviously, when you're going to be doing something that is very different than what you typically do, you'll need to experience with it. You'll need to practice with it, whether it's a pull-out or a cancellation or self-disclosure or voluntary stammering. Voluntary stammering is the same way. Hamari body used to have natural stammer. It's not used to a voluntary stammer. It's not used to a bounce. It's not used to a voluntary prolongation. It's not used to a voluntary block. तो उसको used to बनाने के लिए, उसको experience करने के लिए, you just have to practice more. So in the same thing with voluntary stammering. Just do some voluntary stammering on a daily basis in a light kind of a way. Do it also in a tight kind of a way, but maintaining eye contact. All this is practice. Yeah. And with speech, we have infinite opportunities. Koi bhi social encounter jo hai, is potentially an encounter to try something different. And the more we do it, the more, and also in my course at least, I call it an acceptance practice. Self-disclosure, voluntary stammering, ये acceptance practice है. Acceptance तो एक बात है, तो दिमाग में सोच लिया, मन में मान लिया, इसका मतलब नहीं कि हमें behavior में ऐसे ही निकलेगा. Behavior will be going back to what body is used to. इसलिए in order to get the body used to something different, you got to do it. You got to do it in different environments. So same concept here. All right, guys, I'm going to let this, I need to go, but it's always wonderful seeing you. Hopefully this was helpful also. अगर आपको ये topic continue करना है अगले हफ्ते, we can do some of that as well. But we have other things I'm sure planned. So I'll lean on you, Dr. Srivastava, about what we got to do next.
Sure, no problem. So, whenever you want to leave, you can leave, Dr. Amit, and we will wind up slowly. So before I wind up, I just want to ask from Vikas. Vikas, what is happening about Stutter Fest? You people are making a presentation there, no?
Sir, there are 5 folks who are making presentation, like Rohil, Dipin, Soumya, and 2 more.
And we will be able to see their video links.
Yeah, so
God willing, soon.
Harish has shared the link and where we can view the same. So I can forward that link as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So if anybody wants to share something, otherwise we are ready to to get going. कोई सवाल, कोई डाउट किसी का? संजय कुशवाहा, आप काफी दिन बाद आए, उम्मीद करता हूँ आप ठीक ठाक हैं.
Yes, sir.
Okay guys, so thank you so much. Thank you, Vikas. Thank you, Dr. Amit. Take care, everyone.
See you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, sir. Sir. Thank you.